The spaceport was massive, stretching across 3 levels with gleaming metal walls and bright lights everywhere. Ships came and went every few minutes, carrying passengers from dozens of different planets. Nexus Prime Spaceport was the biggest travel hub in this part of the galaxy. Everyone who traveled between star systems had to pass through here at some point. Hana walked through the main entrance carrying a small gray bag over her shoulder. She wore simple clothes, a plain blue shirt and comfortable pants. Her hair was tied back in a simple style. She looked like any other traveler, maybe even less fancy than most. Other passengers rushed past her, many dressed in expensive suits or carrying luxury items. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the hallways, speaking in dozens of different languages. She made her way to the premium lounge area on the second level. The entrance had fancy doors and a security checkpoint. A sign above glowed in multiple languages, welcoming elite passengers. Hana approached the desk and placed her identification card on the scanner. The machine beeped, then it beeped again. The screen flashed red. "Access denied," the computer voice announced. Hana frowned slightly. She tried again, placing her card more carefully on the scanner. The same red flash appeared. A tall alien with purple skin and 4 arms appeared from behind a door. His name tag read, Station Manager Crick7. He had large black eyes that looked down at Hana with clear annoyance. His species, the Valkyrians, were known for running many spaceports across the galaxy. They were also known for looking down on other species. "Problem?" Crick7 asked, his voice sharp. "The scanner isn't reading my credentials," Hana said calmly. "There might be a glitch in the system." Crick7 looked at her from head to toe. His expression showed exactly what he thought. He saw her simple clothes, her small bag, her plain appearance. He made up his mind instantly. "This area is for premium passengers only," he said. "Economy terminal is on the ground level." "I know," Hana replied politely. "I have premium access. The scanner is just not working properly." Crick7 crossed 2 of his forearms. "Our systems don't make mistakes. If you had real credentials, it would scan properly." "Your station sent a notice yesterday about maintenance on the credential systems," Hana explained. She kept her voice calm and patient. "It said some cards might need manual verification during the update period." "I don't have time to manually check every human who claims to have premium access," Crick7 said. The way he said human made it sound like an insult. "You people always try to sneak into areas you can't afford." Other passengers nearby started to notice the conversation. Some slowed down to watch. A few aliens pointed and whispered to each other. "I can wait while you verify my information," Hana offered. "It should only take a few minutes." "No," Crick7 said firmly. "I'm not wasting station resources on this. You need to leave this area now." Hana took a slow breath. "I'm asking you to do your job and check the system manually. My credentials are valid." Crick7's face darkened with anger. How dare this simple human woman argue with him? He pressed a button on his wrist device. "Security to Premium Entrance 2. We have an unauthorized human refusing to leave." Within a minute, a huge alien arrived. He was built like a mountain with gray rocky skin and arms as thick as tree trunks. His species, the Thulgarians, were often hired as security because of their size and strength. His name tag said, Security Chief Vorn. "This human is trying to access the premium lounge without proper credentials," Crick7 explained. "She's been asked to leave and refused." Vorn looked down at Hana. She barely came up to his chest. "You need to come with me, human." "I'm a paying passenger with valid credentials," Hana said. She was still calm, but her voice had steel in it now. "I'm asking for manual verification of my access card. That's a reasonable request according to your own station policies." "Station manager says you go, Vorn rumbled. He reached out with one massive hand. "Don't touch me," Hana warned. "My husband will hear about this treatment." Crick7 actually laughed. Several other aliens watching also chuckled. Of course, another human claiming powerful connections. He looked at the crowd gathering around them. They all say the same thing when they're caught. "My husband is important. I know someone powerful. You all look the same to us, making the same empty threats." More passengers had stopped to watch now. Some were recording on their communication devices. An alien couple laughed openly. A group of traders from the Centauri sector shook their heads, smiling at the scene. Last chance, Vorn said. Walk or be carried. Hana looked at Crix 7 one more time. You're making a serious mistake. The only mistake is yours trying to access places above your station, Crix 7 replied coldly. Vorn's patience ran out. He grabbed Hana's arm, not quite gently enough to be called professional. She didn't fight or scream. She simply let him lead her away, maintaining her dignity even as she was escorted through the crowd like a criminal. Passengers parted to let them through, many still recording or taking pictures. The walk down to the ground-level economy terminal took 5 minutes. It was a very different world down there. The floors were more worn. The lights were dimmer. The seats in the waiting areas were packed together tightly. The smell of cheap food filled the air. This was where the common travelers stayed, the ones who couldn't afford premium services. Vorn released Hana's arm near a row of basic plastic chairs. Stay in your proper area, human, he said, then turned and walked away. Hana stood there for a moment, watching him go. Around her, the economy terminal buzzed with activity. Families with children, workers traveling for jobs, students heading to universities on other planets. These were regular people, just trying to get from one place to another. She found an empty seat and sat down, placing her small bag beside her. From her pocket, she pulled out a communication device. It was more advanced than it looked, slim and elegant despite its simple appearance. She pressed a few buttons and held it up to her ear. Hyunwoo, she said quietly when someone answered. I'm fine, but we have a situation at Nexus Prime Spaceport. She spoke for 2 minutes, explaining what happened. Her voice stayed calm throughout. She wasn't crying or angry. She was simply reporting facts. No, I'm not hurt, she said. But this isn't about me. This is about how they treat all humans here. She paused, listening. Yes, I think it's time someone taught them a lesson about respect. She ended the call and put the device away. Then she pulled a book from her bag, an actual paper book, rare in this age of digital everything. She opened it and began to read, looking for all the world like a simple woman patiently waiting for her flight. She didn't look like someone who had just started a chain of events that would shake the entire spaceport to its foundation. Back on the premium level, Crix 7 was celebrating with his assistant. Did you see her face? He laughed. These humans always think they're so special. Someone needs to keep them in their place. His communication device buzzed, but he ignored it. He was too busy enjoying his victory to notice the storm that was already heading his way. 300 light-years away, in a conference room that overlooked Earth's blue oceans, Hyunwoo sat at the head of a long table. Around him sat representatives from 12 different alien species. They were the Galactic Trade Council, the group that controlled commerce between star systems. Today's meeting was about expanding trade routes in the outer sectors. Hyunwoo was in his early 40s, with sharp eyes and perfectly styled black hair. He wore a dark suit that cost more than most people earned in a year. When he spoke, everyone listened. Terran Industries, the company he built from nothing, was now the largest corporation in human space. Some said it was one of the most powerful companies in the entire galaxy. His assistant, Ji-woo, sat beside him taking notes. She was a former military strategist who had helped plan Earth's defense during the border conflicts 10 years ago. Now she used that same sharp mind to help Hyunwoo run his business empire. She was known for her efficiency and her absolute loyalty. A Velkarian trade minister was making a long speech about shipping fees when Hyunwoo's personal communication device vibrated. He glanced at it. Only 5 people had this direct line. One of them was his wife. His expression changed instantly. The warmth in his eyes turned to ice. He raised one hand, cutting off the Velkarian mid-sentence. "Excuse me," Hyunwoo said. His voice was perfectly polite, but everyone in the room felt the temperature drop. "I need to take this call. We'll resume in 10 minutes." He walked out of the conference room without waiting for responses. Ji-woo followed immediately, her hand already reaching for her own device. In the hallway, Hyunwoo answered the call. "Hana?" Ji-woo watched her boss's face as he listened. She had worked for him for 8 years. She had seen him negotiate billion-dollar deals without blinking. She had seen him stare down hostile alien diplomats. She had never seen the expression that crossed his face now. Pure, cold anger. "I understand," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Are you safe?" He listened. "Good. Stay there. I'm coming." He ended the call and turned to Jiwoo. "Get me all security footage from Nexus Prime Spaceport, Premium Entrance 2, from the last hour." "Already on it," Jiwoo said, her fingers flying over her tablet. "What happened?" "They threw Hana out of the Premium Lounge, physically removed her." Jiwoo's eyes went wide. Everyone in Terran Industries knew Hana. She was Dr. Hana, one of the galaxy's leading medical engineers. She had designed life support systems that were now standard on half the ships in space. But more importantly to them, she was their CEO's wife. Touching her was like touching Hyunwoo himself. "I have the footage," Jiwoo said, turning her tablet so Hyunwoo could see. They watched in silence. Hana being denied access. Hana remaining calm and polite. The station manager's dismissive attitude. The cruel laughter from other passengers. Security dragging her away. "The station manager," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Name? Crix 7. Velkarian. Been working at Nexus Prime for 12 years. Jiwoo pulled up more information. Multiple complaints filed against him for discriminatory behavior. Nothing ever done about it. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was soft, which made it even more frightening. "Contact Admiral Sung-ho. Tell him I need a diplomatic escort to Nexus Prime. 3 ships should be enough." "3 warships to pick up your wife from a spaceport?" Jiwoo asked. She wasn't questioning the order, just clarifying. "3 warships to make a point," Hyunwoo corrected. "Also send the footage to every human news network. I want the galaxy to see how Nexus Prime treats human passengers." "Consider it done." Jiwoo was already making calls. "One more thing," Hyunwoo added. "Pull all our technical contracts with Nexus Prime. Notify their maintenance department that our engineers will need to review safety protocols before continuing service." Jiwoo smiled grimly. She knew what that meant. Terran Industries maintained most of the advanced systems at Nexus Prime. The navigation arrays, the shield generators, the medical facilities, even the climate control systems. All designed and serviced by human engineers. Without those engineers, the station would start having problems very quickly. Hyunwoo returned to the conference room. The Trade Council representatives looked up expectantly. "Gentlemen," Hyunwoo said, his tone professional but final. "Something urgent has come up. We'll need to reschedule this meeting." "But we've barely started," the Velkarian minister protested. "We have 3 more items on the agenda." "Then we'll discuss them another time," Hyunwoo replied. He was already gathering his papers. "My wife needs me." One of the council members, an elderly ambassador from the Andromedan Collective, leaned forward. "Your wife? Is everything all right?" "She was assaulted at Nexus Prime Spaceport," Hyunwoo said simply. The room went silent. Several representatives exchanged worried glances. They all knew who Hana was. More importantly, they knew what Hyunwoo was capable of when someone threatened what was his. "My deepest sympathies," the Andromedan said carefully. "I hope this matter can be resolved quickly and peacefully." "So do I," Hyunwoo said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "So do I." Within the hour, news of the incident began spreading through human communication networks. The footage Jiwoo released went viral almost immediately. Humans across the galaxy watched as one of their own was mocked and physically removed from a public facility. The comment sections filled with angry responses. "This is how they treat us? Dr. Hana has done more for galactic medicine than any 10 aliens combined. Time to remind them who keeps their stations running." At Nexus Prime Spaceport, Crix 7 was having a good day. He had just finished his shift and was heading to the break room for a meal. His assistant walked beside him, still laughing about the human woman from earlier. "Did you report the incident?" the assistant asked. "Of course," Crix 7 said. "Filed it as routine removal of unauthorized passenger. Nothing unusual." His communication device started buzzing. He ignored it at first, but it kept buzzing. Annoyed, he checked it. 5 missed calls from Station Director Kel 8. 7 urgent messages. That's strange, Crick 7 muttered. The director never contacted him directly. He opened the first message. It was just 2 words. Call me now. Crick 7 felt the first small flutter of worry in his stomach. He found a quiet corner and made the call. Where have you been? Director Kel 8's voice was nearly a scream. Do you have any idea what you've done? Sir, I don't understand. I was just finishing my shift. The human you removed today. Did you bother to verify her identity manually? No, sir. The system rejected her credentials, so You removed Dr. Hana from the premium lounge. The director's voice had gone from angry to horrified. Wife of Hyunwoo. CEO of Terran Industries. Crick 7 felt like someone had dumped ice water on him. That's not possible. She looks so ordinary. 3 Earth Defense Fleet warships just dropped out of hyperspace above the station, Kel 8 continued. Hyunwoo himself is on the way. The footage of you mocking his wife is currently being watched by billions of humans across the galaxy. And 20 minutes ago, Terran Industries suspended all technical support contracts with us. The device slipped from Crick 7's shaking hand. Around him, the station's lights flickered once, then again. In the distance, he could hear alarms starting to sound. The station's main computer announced, Attention! Minor system malfunction in Sector 7. Engineering teams report to your stations. Then another announcement. Climate control in Sectors 9 through 12 operating at reduced capacity. Then another. Navigation array experiencing synchronization delays. Crick 7 understood what was happening. Without human engineers actively maintaining the systems, everything was starting to break down, and it had only been 20 minutes. His assistant stared at him, face pale. What have you done? Crick 7 didn't answer. He was too busy trying to remember the face of the simple woman he had thrown out. The woman who had tried to warn him. The woman who had said he was making a serious mistake. She had been right. In the economy terminal, Hana turned another page of her book. Around her, other passengers were checking their communication devices and talking excitedly. Word was spreading that something big was happening. Ships from Earth's defense fleet in orbit. System failures across the station. Rumors of a major incident. Hana just kept reading. She had warned them. She had given them every chance to verify her credentials and treat her with basic respect. They had chosen mockery instead. Now they would learn why humanity had risen to become one of the galaxy's most influential species. Not through violence or conquest, but through innovation, unity, and an unwillingness to tolerate injustice. And they were about to learn it from her husband. The 3 warships hung in space above Nexus Prime like silent threats. They were painted in Earth's colors, white and blue, with the symbol of the defense fleet visible on their hulls. Each ship was the size of a small city, bristling with weapons and technology. They made no aggressive moves, but their presence alone was enough to make every ship in the area nervous. Behind them came a 4th vessel, smaller but far more elegant. It was a private luxury ship, the kind that only the wealthiest individuals could afford. Its name was written in Korean and English on the side, Morning Star. Inside the station's command center, Station Director Kel 8 stared at the screens showing the ships. He was a Valkyrian like Crick 7, but older and far more experienced. He had run Nexus Prime for 20 years. He had dealt with pirates, smugglers, and diplomatic incidents. But he had never felt fear like this. They're requesting immediate docking clearance for the Morning Star, his communications officer reported. Priority 1 clearance. They're invoking diplomatic protocols. Who's on board? Kel 8 demanded, though he already knew. CEO Hyunwoo of Terran Industries. Also, Ambassador Mi Young of Earth is on her way from the diplomatic sector. She'll be here in 10 minutes. Kel 8 felt sick. Ambassador Mi Young was Earth's voice in the Galactic Council. If she was coming personally, this had gone beyond a simple incident. This was now an interplanetary matter. Grant them clearance, Kel 8 ordered. Premium Docking Bay 1, send my personal security to escort them. He paused. "And find Crix 7. Bring him to my office, now." The communications officer hesitated. "Sir, there's more. The footage of the incident has been broadcast on every major human news network. It's spreading to alien networks now. We're receiving thousands of complaints. Several human-owned businesses in the station are threatening to close." "How bad is it?" "The galactic stock market shows Nexus Prime holdings down 18% in the last hour. Human advocacy groups are calling for boycotts. 3 shipping companies have already rerouted their flights to other spaceports." Kel 8 closed his eyes. 18% in 1 hour. The station's reputation was collapsing in real time. "Get me legal," he said quietly. "We're going to need them." Captain Tae Yang guided the Morning Star through the docking procedures with expert precision. He had been Hyun-woo's personal pilot for 5 years. He had flown through asteroid fields and outrun pirates. But he had never seen his employer like this. Silent, cold, focused. The ship touched down smoothly in the premium docking bay. It was the same bay where the richest passengers kept their private vessels. The same level where Hana had been denied entry just hours earlier. Hyun-woo stood and adjusted his suit. Behind him, 6 security personnel in crisp uniforms stood at attention. They were all human, all former military. Their presence sent a clear message. Ji-woo checked her tablet one last time. "The director is waiting to greet you." So are a dozen reporters and about 50 station security personnel. They're very nervous. "Good," Hyun-woo said simply. The door opened and he stepped out. The docking bay was filled with people. Station officials in uniform, security guards trying to look professional, reporters from various species, all recording everything. But Hyun-woo looked at none of them. He walked forward with purpose, his security detail following closely. Station officials rushed to greet him, speaking quickly in a mix of languages. "Mr. Hyun-woo, welcome to Nexus Prime. If you would just come this way, we've prepared." The director sends his deepest apologies. Hyun-woo walked past all of them without slowing down. His eyes were fixed on the exit that led to the main terminal. One official made the mistake of stepping in front of him. Hyun-woo stopped, looked at the man, and said one word. "Move." The official moved. They made their way through the premium level. Other passengers stopped and stared. Some recognized Hyun-woo from news broadcasts. Others simply recognized power when they saw it. The crowd parted before him like water. Ji-woo walked beside him, reading updates from her tablet. "Ambassador Mi-young just arrived. She's heading to meet us. Also, the station has now had 47 system failures. Nothing critical yet, but it's getting close. Tell our engineers to continue holding," Hyun-woo said. They reached the escalator that led down to the ground-level economy terminal. Hyun-woo stepped on without hesitation. His security detail followed. Behind them, station officials scrambled to keep up. The economy terminal was exactly as Hana had described. Worn floors, dim lighting, crowded seating. But it went quiet as Hyun-woo descended into it. Passengers who had been talking or eating or sleeping all stopped and stared. A human man in an expensive suit, surrounded by security, entering the economy section. It was unheard of. Someone recognized him and gasped. Then another. Within seconds, everyone was pulling out devices to record. This was history happening right in front of them. Hyun-woo scanned the terminal and found her. Hana sat in a row of plastic chairs near Gate 37, still reading her book. She looked up as he approached, a small smile touching her lips. He crossed the distance between them and, to the shock of everyone watching, knelt down beside her chair. It was a gesture of respect, of love, of apology. One of the most powerful men in the galaxy kneeling in an economy terminal. "I'm sorry you had to wait, my love," he said quietly. Hana set down her book and touched his face gently. "I knew you'd come. And I knew you'd make a point." "They need to learn," Hyun-woo said, his voice hard. "All of them." "Not with anger," Hana reminded him softly. "With truth. Show them who we are, not by destroying them, but by showing them what they lose when they treat humans as less than equals." Hyun-woo nodded. This was why he had married her. She was brilliant, compassionate, and wise in ways he sometimes wasn't. She tempered his anger with purpose. He stood and helped her to her feet. Around them, the entire economy terminal was absolutely silent. Hundreds of passengers from dozens of species, all watching, all recording. Ambassador Mi Young appeared at the entrance to the terminal, slightly out of breath from hurrying. She was in her 60s with gray hair and sharp eyes that had negotiated treaties on 100 worlds. When she saw Hana, her expression softened with relief. When she saw where Hana had been forced to wait, her expression hardened with anger. Dr. Hana, Mi Young said formally, approaching them. On behalf of Earth's government, I apologize for the treatment you received. This is unacceptable. Thank you, Ambassador, Hana replied graciously. But the apology should come from those responsible. It will, Mi Young promised. She turned to look at the crowd, at the cameras, at the reporters pushing closer. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. Let it be known that Dr. Hana is not just a citizen of Earth. She is a leading scientist whose work has saved countless lives across the galaxy. She travels modestly, not because she must, but because she chooses to walk among ordinary people and understand their lives. And this is how Nexus Prime repays her contributions. With mockery, with force, with discrimination. A murmur ran through the crowd. Many hadn't known who Hana was. Now they did. Shame and anger mixed in the air. Station Director Kill 8 finally arrived, pushing through the crowd with several security officers and, in the middle of them, Crick 7. The station manager looked like he wanted to disappear. His purple skin had gone pale. His forearms hung limply at his sides. Kill 8 approached Hyunwoo, trying to maintain some dignity. Mr. Hyunwoo, Director Kill 8, I want to personally apologize for this terrible misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding, Hyunwoo interrupted coldly. Your employees saw my wife, judged her by her appearance, and decided she didn't belong in your premium area. When she asked for manual verification, as your own policies allow, he refused and had her physically removed. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. Kel 8's mouth opened and closed. We will take immediate action. You will, Hyunwoo agreed. But not the action you're thinking of. He looked past the director to Crick 7. You, station manager, come here. Crick 7 looked like he might refuse, but the security officers pushed him forward. He stood before Hyunwoo, unable to meet his eyes. Look at her, Hyunwoo commanded. Look at my wife, the woman you threw out like trash. Crick 7 forced himself to look at Hana. She gazed back at him calmly, without anger, which somehow made it worse. Do you know what she does? Hyunwoo asked. Can you even guess? Crick 7 shook his head mutely. The medical bay on this station, the one your people are so proud of, the one that saved thousands of lives? She designed it. The life support systems on every ship in this sector? Her patents? The emergency protocols that prevented a reactor meltdown here 5 years ago? Her recommendations. Hyunwoo's voice grew quieter, more dangerous. And you treated her like she was nothing. The crowd was absolutely silent now. Even the reporters had stopped asking questions. I'm sorry, Crick 7 whispered. You're not sorry you did it, Hyunwoo said. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry she turned out to be someone important. But you would have treated any other human the same way, wouldn't you? Crick 7 couldn't answer. The silence was answer enough. Hyunwoo turned to face the crowd, the cameras, the galaxy watching. This isn't about me or my wife. This is about how humanity is treated in places like this. How any species can be judged by appearance and denied basic respect. That ends today. Right here, right now. Ambassador Mi Young stepped forward. I am formally filing a complaint with the Galactic Council. Nexus Prime will face sanctions unless immediate reforms are implemented. Kel 8 looked like he might collapse. Please, let's discuss this in private. No more private discussions, Hyunwoo said. Everything happens in the open now. The galaxy is watching. Let them see how this gets resolved. He took Hana's hand and looked down at her. Let's go home. As they walked toward the exit, the crowd parted again. But this time, something different happened. A human woman in the crowd stood up. Then another. Then 10 more. Then aliens too. Standing in respect. In solidarity. In acknowledgement. By the time Hyunwoo and Hana left the economy terminal, hundreds of people were standing. A silent tribute to dignity, to justice, to the idea that everyone deserves respect regardless of how they look or where they come from. Behind them, Crix 7 stood in the wreckage of his career, finally understanding the magnitude of his mistake. The storm had arrived, and it was only beginning. Director Kel 8's office was on the top level of Nexus Prime, with windows that looked out at the stars and the ships moving through space. Usually, it was a view that reminded him of his power and position. Today, it felt like walls closing in. Hyunwoo sat across from him at the conference table. Hana sat beside her husband, calm and composed. Ambassador Mi-young sat at the end of the table, her tablet recording everything. Ji-woo stood behind Hyunwoo, arms crossed. Two of Earth's fleet admirals had joined via video screen, their faces stern. This was no longer a simple complaint. This was a trial. Crix 7 stood near the door, flanked by station security. Security Chief Vorn stood beside him, looking confused about why he was here. Neither had been allowed to sit. "Let's be clear about what happened," Hyunwoo began, his voice calm but cold. "My wife arrived at your premium entrance with valid credentials. Your system malfunctioned. She requested manual verification, which is allowed under your posted policies. Instead, your station manager decided she was lying based on her appearance. He mocked her. He called security. He had her physically removed. Other passengers laughed and recorded the entire thing." Kel 8 nodded miserably. "Yes, that is accurate." And when she warned him he was making a mistake, he said, and I quote, "You all look the same to us," meaning humans. "I can explain," Crix 7 started. "Quiet," Kel 8 snapped at him. To Hyunwoo, he said, "There is no excuse. I'm prepared to terminate both employees immediately and offer whatever compensation you—" "I don't want your money," Hyunwoo interrupted. "I want systematic change." Ambassador Mi-young leaned forward. "Let's discuss what that means. First, I want to see your discrimination policies." Kel 8 pulled up documents on the central screen. Page after page of official policies appeared, all stating that discrimination based on species, appearance, or origin was strictly forbidden. Beautiful words that clearly meant nothing. "These policies exist," Ji-woo observed dryly. "So why did your employee violate them so openly?" "He will be punished," Kel 8 insisted. "That's not an answer," Hyunwoo said. "He violated these policies because he knew he could." "Because it's happened before. Show us the complaint records." Kel 8 hesitated. "Those are internal." "Show us," Ambassador Mi-young said firmly, "or I will have the Galactic Council subpoena them." Kel 8 sighed and pulled up another file. The room went quiet as they read. Dozens of complaints over the years. Humans denied service. Humans questioned more aggressively than other species. Humans directed to economy sections even with premium credentials. And next to almost every complaint, the same notation: unsubstantiated, no action taken. 27 complaints in the last 5 years, Ji-woo said, reading from her own tablet where she had copied the data. 27 times humans told you they were being discriminated against. 27 times you did nothing. "We investigated each one," Kel 8 protested weakly. "You dismissed each one," Hyunwoo corrected. "Because it was easier than admitting you had a problem. Because you didn't think humans would do anything about it." He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the warships still hanging in space. "Do you know what Terran Industries does, Director? We build things. We design systems. We create technology that makes modern space travel possible. 70% of the advanced systems on this station were built by human engineers. The shield generators that protect you from radiation. The gravity systems that keep your feet on the floor. The medical equipment that saves lives every single day." He turned back to face them. "And you thought you could treat us like second-class passengers?" Hana spoke for the first time since entering the office. Her voice was gentle, but everyone listened. I designed your medical bay, Director Kel 8. I spent 3 years developing the bioscanners you use. I made sure they could recognize and treat every species in the galaxy. I did that because I believe all life has value. All beings deserve quality care. She paused. I travel in simple clothes and sit in economy terminals sometimes because I want to see how ordinary people experience the galaxy. I want to know if my work actually helps them. And today I learned that my own species is treated with contempt at one of the most important travel hubs in space. Dr. Hana, I am deeply, truly sorry, Kel-8 said. And for the first time, he sounded genuine. What do you want us to do? I want you to mean it when you say discrimination is forbidden, Hana replied. I want humans who come through this station to feel safe and respected. I want employees who mock passengers for their species to face real consequences. And I want this station to become an example of how different species can coexist with mutual respect. That's a large request, Tel-8 said. Then here's a larger one, Hyun-woo said. He nodded to Ji-woo, who pulled up new documents on the screen. These are the technical support contracts between Terran Industries and Nexus Prime. All of them are now suspended pending an investigation into discriminatory practices. The investigation will be conducted by an independent committee including human, Valkyrian, and neutral species representatives. Kel-8's eyes widened. That could take months. Then you better hope your systems don't break down in the meantime, Ji-woo said pleasantly. Oh wait, they already are. We're up to 62 malfunctions now. As if on cue, the lights in the office flickered. You're sabotaging the station, Crick 7 shouted. We're not doing anything, Hyun-woo said calmly. We've simply stopped doing the constant maintenance your systems require. Your own engineers can handle it. They designed all this, right? The silence answered that question. Everyone knew Valkyrian engineers had built the station's structure, but humans had designed most of the sophisticated technology that kept it running. One of the admirals on the video screen spoke up. Nexus Prime processes 40,000 passengers daily. If systems fail, people could die. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Hyun-woo shot back. Because we're not the ones who created this situation. We're the ones who have been asking for basic respect and being denied. How many more times should we accept being treated as inferior before we say enough is enough? What do you want? Kel-8 asked again, this time with desperation in his voice. Hyun-woo sat back down. I want written policies against discrimination with real enforcement. I want mandatory training for all staff on treating all species with respect. I want a committee of humans on your management board to ensure these policies are followed. I want public apology not just to my wife, but to every human who has been mistreated here. And I want Crick 7 and anyone else who has repeatedly violated your non-discrimination policies to be removed from public-facing positions. Done, Kel-8 said immediately. All of it. Done. Not good enough, Ambassador Mi-young said. Words are easy. Director, we need structural change. We need transparency. We need outside oversight. For the next 2 hours, they negotiated. Hyun-woo and Ambassador Mi-young laid out exactly what they wanted. Kel-8 tried to minimize and compromise, but every time he pushed back, Ji-woo would casually mention another system failure, and he would agree to the next demand. By the end, they had a framework. An independent oversight committee with representatives from multiple species including humans. Quarterly reviews of all discrimination complaints. Mandatory bias training for every employee, starting with management. Public quarterly reports on discrimination incidents, and immediate termination for anyone found to have repeatedly violated policies. This is going to cost millions, Kel-8 said, reading through the final agreement. Discrimination always costs someone, Hana said quietly. Usually the victims. This time the institution pays the price. And Crick 7? Kel-8 asked. Hyun-woo looked at the station manager, who had started all of this. Crick 7 had been silent for the last hour, watching his career crumble. He's banned from working in any customer-facing position on any station that uses Terran Industries technology. That's about 80% of major spaceports in the galaxy. That's effectively ending my career, Crick 7 said. You ended it yourself when you decided humans weren't worth basic respect, Hyun-woo replied without sympathy. Actions have consequences. You taught me that today. Security Chief Vorn, who had been quiet this whole time, finally spoke up. What about me? I just followed orders. You put your hands on a passenger who posed no threat and was breaking no laws, Ambassador Mi Young said, because someone told you to. Following orders doesn't excuse everything. You're suspended for 6 months without pay, Kel 8 decided. And when you return, you'll be in a non-contact position, equipment management perhaps. Vorn nodded slowly. It was harsh but fair. Better than he had feared. Hyunwoo stood, indicating the meeting was over. You have 1 week to make the public apology and announce these reforms. Until then, my engineers will provide emergency support only. If I don't see real progress, the suspension becomes permanent. You'll see progress, Kel 8 promised. You have my word. Your word means nothing to me yet, Hyunwoo said bluntly. Your actions will speak for you. As they left the office, Hana took her husband's hand. You didn't destroy them, she observed. You asked me not to, Hyunwoo replied. You said to show them what they lose by treating us as less than equals. They're losing time, money, reputation, and their comfortable assumption that discrimination has no consequences. That's enough? It's a start, Hyunwoo said. Real change takes time. But today, we started it. Outside the office, they found dozens of reporters waiting. Cameras from 100 news outlets, representatives from advocacy groups, other passengers who wanted to see what would happen. Ambassador Mi Young stepped forward to address them. Nexus Prime has agreed to comprehensive reforms to prevent discrimination. Details will be released within the week. This is a victory not just for humans but for every species that has faced prejudice in spaces that should welcome all. The reporters shouted questions, but Hyunwoo and Hana walked past them all. They had said everything that needed saying. Now it was time to go home and let the galaxy process what had happened here today. As they boarded the Morning Star, Ji-woo pulled up the news feeds on her tablet. The incident was the top story on every major network. Opinion pieces were already being written. Debate shows were arguing about it. The conversation had begun. It's spreading, Ji-woo said. Good, Hyunwoo replied. Let it spread. Let every station, every port, every public facility in the galaxy see what happens when you discriminate. Let them see that humans won't accept it quietly anymore. The Morning Star lifted off, followed by its escort of warships. Behind them, Nexus Prime began the long process of change. And across the galaxy, millions of beings watched and wondered what this meant for the future. One thing was certain. Nothing would ever be quite the same again. 3 weeks later, Nexus Prime Spaceport looked the same from the outside. Ships came and went. Passengers rushed through terminals. The massive structure hung in space like it always had. But inside, everything had changed. In the main plaza, workers were installing new signs in 20 different languages. Each sign had the same message: all species welcome. Discrimination of any kind will not be tolerated. They weren't beautiful signs, but they were clear and direct. More importantly, they were everywhere. No one could enter the station without seeing them. Yuna stood in the plaza watching the workers. She was 24, a human engineer who had worked at Nexus Prime for 2 years. She had been there the day Hana was thrown out. She had recorded it on her device. She had watched security drag away a woman who looked like she could have been Yuna's own mother or aunt. And she had felt ashamed that she hadn't said anything. Now she wore a new badge on her uniform. It marked her as part of the Diversity Committee, one of the reforms demanded by Hyunwoo. Her job was to investigate complaints and ensure fair treatment. It was strange having that power. Strange, but important. "Excuse me?" a voice said behind her. She turned to see a human man with his young daughter. "Is it true they're changing things here? Making it safer for humans?" "Yes," Yuna said with certainty. "It's true." "Good," the man said, holding his daughter's hand tighter. "We were going to take a different route to avoid this station. But if things are really changing, maybe we don't have to." Yuna watched them walk away and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time at work. Pride. Her communication device buzzed. It was a message from Director Dong Hyun, the new human co-director of the station. He had been appointed as part of the reforms. All committee members to the conference room, 1 hour. We have new complaint cases to review. The conference room was different now. Half the seats were filled with humans. The other half had Valkyrians, Thulgarians, Andromedans, and other species. It was the most diverse management team the station had ever had. Director Dong Hyun was in his 50s, with gray hair and kind eyes. But everyone who worked with him quickly learned that kind didn't mean soft. He had built his career on efficiency and fairness. He expected both from everyone. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "We've received 23 complaints this week, down from 41 last week. Progress, but not enough." Kel 8 sat at the table looking uncomfortable. He was still station director, but he now shared power with Dong Hyun. It wasn't an arrangement he liked, but it was the arrangement he had agreed to. "Most complaints are minor," Dong Hyun continued, "staff being rude. Small delays for certain species, but we have 3 serious cases. One involving a human family denied access to the medical bay. One involving a Thulgarian accused of stealing without evidence. And one involving an Andromedan elder who was mocked for moving slowly." "What happened to the staff involved?" a committee member asked. "Suspended pending investigation," Kel 8 answered. "We're following the new protocols exactly." "Good," Dong Hyun said, "because we have reporters watching everything we do. The galaxy wants to see if we meant what we said." He was right about that. In the 3 weeks since the incident, Nexus Prime had become the most watched spaceport in the galaxy. News shows sent reporters to check on progress. Advocacy groups monitored every complaint. The galactic internet had entire forums dedicated to tracking the reforms. Some people praised the changes. Others said Hyunwoo had gone too far, that he had bullied a station into submission. But most agreed on one thing. The conversation about discrimination in space travel had finally begun in earnest. At Terran Industries headquarters on Earth, Hyunwoo reviewed the same reports. Jiwoo sat across from his desk, as always. "The reforms are working," she said. "Slowly, but working. Complaints are down, staff training is showing results, and other spaceports are starting to implement similar changes." "How many?" Hyunwoo asked. 12 major stations have announced new anti-discrimination policies in the last 2 weeks. 16 more are reviewing their current policies. The Galactic Council is discussing making some reforms mandatory. Hyunwoo nodded. And Nexus Prime stock? Recovering. Down only 5% now from before the incident. Turns out fairness is good for business. Who knew? Jiwoo's tone was dry. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Any problems? Some staff resistance at Nexus Prime. Some employees don't like the new rules. They think we're being too strict. A few have quit. Let them quit, Hyunwoo said. Any organization that can't function without discrimination doesn't deserve to function at all. There was a knock on the door. Hana entered, carrying a tablet. She had just returned from a medical conference on Mars. Am I interrupting? Never, Hyunwoo said, standing to greet her with a kiss. Hana sat down and showed them her tablet. The conference was productive. But something interesting happened. 3 different researchers approached me to say thank you. For your medical work? Jiwoo asked. For what happened at Nexus Prime, Hana said. They were all non-humans. A Thulgarian researcher said he had faced discrimination at academic conferences. An Andromedan scientist said she was constantly dismissed because of her age. They said watching what happened gave them courage to speak up about their own experiences. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. So it's spreading beyond just humans. Of course, Hana said. Discrimination never targets just one group. When you fight it for one species, you fight it for all. That was always the point. She pulled up a video on her tablet. This was sent to me this morning. I think you should see it. The video showed the plaza at Nexus Prime. A young Valkyrian child was asking her parent a question. The audio was clear enough to hear. Why were the humans treated badly before? The child asked. The parent, one of the plaza's shopkeepers, knelt down to answer. Because some beings forgot something important. They forgot that being different doesn't mean being less. They forgot that every species deserves respect. But we know that now, right? The child asked. We're learning it, the parent said carefully. Some of us are learning faster than others. But yes, we're learning. The video ended. The office was quiet for a moment. That's what we wanted, Hana said softly. Not revenge, not punishment. Teaching, understanding, change that lasts because people actually learn from it. Jiwoo checked her messages. Speaking of change, Director Dong Hyun just sent the schedule for next week's ceremony. They want you both to attend. What ceremony? Hyunwoo asked. The official opening of the new diversity center at Nexus Prime. It will have resources for travelers, complaint centers, and education programs. They're naming it after Dr. Hana. Hana looked surprised. I didn't agree to that. You don't have to agree, Jiwoo said with a smile. The station voted on it. Staff and passengers both. It was unanimous. 1 week later, Hyunwoo and Hana returned to Nexus Prime for the first time since the incident. This time, no warships accompanied them. This time, Hana wore her formal credentials clearly visible. This time, they entered through the premium terminal and no one questioned their right to be there. The ceremony was held in the new Diversity Center, a bright space with comfortable seating and walls covered in messages of welcome in hundreds of languages. Hundreds of people attended. Station staff, passengers, reporters, and representatives from dozens of worlds. Director Kel 8 gave the opening speech. He looked older than he had 3 weeks ago. We stand here today because we failed, he began. We failed to see our own prejudices. We failed to enforce our own policies. We failed to create a space where all beings felt welcome. He paused. But failure can teach us, if we're willing to learn. He turned to where Hana sat in the front row. Dr. Hana, you had every right to see us punished, to see us destroyed. Instead, you demanded something harder. You demanded we become better. This center stands as a promise that we're trying. Every day, we're trying. Dong Hyun spoke next. His voice strong and clear. Change is uncomfortable. It requires us to examine ourselves, to admit when we're wrong, to do the hard work of building something better. But it's worth it. Because a galaxy where beings are judged by their character instead of their appearance is a galaxy worth building. Then something unexpected happened. Yuna, the young engineer, stepped up to speak. She hadn't been scheduled, but Dong Hyun nodded for her to continue. My name is Yuna, she began, her voice shaking slightly. I was here the day Dr. Hana was removed from the premium lounge. I saw it happen. I recorded it, and I did nothing to help. She took a breath. I told myself it wasn't my business, that speaking up wouldn't change anything, that I was just one person. But I was wrong. Silence is a choice. Watching discrimination happen and doing nothing is its own form of participation. She looked directly at Hana. I'm sorry I didn't speak up for you. But I'm speaking up now. For every human who has been treated badly here, for every being of any species who has faced prejudice, I'm speaking up to say this has to stop, and I'm grateful that your courage gave me the courage to use my voice. The room erupted in applause. Yuna stepped back, tears in her eyes. Other people began to stand. First humans, then aliens. Soon, everyone in the room was standing, applauding not just Yuna, but the idea she represented. The idea that one voice can matter, that speaking up can change things. Hana stood and walked to Yuna. She embraced the young engineer. Thank you for speaking, she said quietly. The galaxy needs voices like yours. After the ceremony, as people mingled and explored the new center, an alien elder approached Hyunwoo and Hana. She was Andromedan, her skin a gentle blue, her eyes wise with age. I wanted to thank you, the elder said, not just for what you did here, but for how you did it. You could have used your power to crush this station. Instead, you used it to teach. That's the mark of true wisdom. We just wanted things to be fair, Hana said simply. Fair is harder than revenge, the elder replied. Revenge is satisfying for a moment. Fairness lasts forever. You chose the harder path. That will ripple through the galaxy for generations. As they left Nexus Prime that evening, Hana and Hyunwoo stood at the window of their ship, looking back at the station. It glowed against the darkness of space, alive with lights and movement. Do you think it will last? Hana asked. The changes? Some will, Hyunwoo said. Some won't. People forget. They slide back into old habits. But we started something. We showed that discrimination has consequences. We proved that standing up for what's right matters. That's enough to build on. And if they forget? Then we remind them, Hyunwoo said simply. As many times as it takes. That's what justice requires. Not one grand gesture, but constant, patient effort to make things better. Hana smiled and leaned against him. When did you become so wise? I married a brilliant woman, he replied. Some of it was bound to rub off. The Morning Star turned and entered hyperspace, leaving Nexus Prime behind. But the changes they had begun continued to spread. Other stations implemented similar reforms. Other advocacy groups found their voices. Other individuals decided to speak up instead of staying silent. 3 months later, the Galactic Council passed the Fair Travel Act, requiring all major spaceports to implement anti-discrimination policies with real enforcement. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. 1 year later, discrimination complaints across major spaceports had decreased by 40%. Not eliminated, but better. Progress. 10 years later, when students studied this era of galactic history, they learned about the incident at Nexus Prime. How one woman's dignity in the face of injustice sparked a movement. How her husband's power was used not for revenge but for reform. How ordinary people like Yuna found their voices and used them. The lesson was simple but profound. True strength isn't about dominating others. It's about lifting everyone up. It's about refusing to accept injustice even when it would be easier to look away. It's about believing that beings of all species, all backgrounds, all appearances deserve to be treated with respect. That was humanity's real contribution to the galaxy. Not their technology or their wealth. Their unwillingness to accept that anyone should be treated as less than they are. Their insistence that all beings, everywhere, deserve dignity. And it all started because a simple woman was thrown out of a spaceport, and her husband decided that enough was enough. The galaxy would never be quite the same, and that was exactly as it should be.